I'm just trolling. Today we're playing Troll of Khazad-dûm in Modern Living End. Why is this good? We have additional black cards to exile the Grief, we have the ability to hardcast Grief, and we can naturally suspend a Living End. I think that this is the way forward post-Fury ban. Let's go find out. This is it. This is the deck list that we're playing today. Full 4-color Modern Living End. And I say full 4-color because we're actually playing black. So we have Watery Grave is a black shock land that you can get off of Troll of Khazad-dûm, but we also have Overgrown Tomb and Blood Crypt as well. So the idea here is that we're playing more black cards for Grief. And then you can naturally suspend Living End as well. But the thing about Troll of Khazad-dûm, it is a 6/5 that it's essentially unblockable in Modern. Your opponent needs 3 creatures to block it. So this is just the heaviest hitting cycle creature that we could possibly play. I'm not really a big fan of Waker of Waves. I've always found it to be really clunky, but Troll of Khazad-dûm is just so smooth. So today we're playing that. And I mean, Grief has always had very few black cards to exile, and it wasn't reliable. In this list, you have 19 black cards. Grief is going to have plenty of exile fuel, and I think that's just really smart. The downside of the Fury ban, and if we look at my last list pre-banning, we have 2 main deck copies of Fury, 2 more in the sideboard, and then 4 Subtlety. So you had 8 removal spells for something like Dauthi Voidwalker. In this list, we have 2 Subtlety in the main deck, and then we have 1 Adawara, which I didn't count in the previous list. And then in the sideboard, you have 2 more Subtlety, and then 2 copies of Dismember. So we're down a couple removal spells for Dauthi Voidwalker. That said, Rakdos Scam isn't nearly as popular as it was pre-banning. So I think we can get away with that. But we also have Grief to discard those cards more reliably as well, so I think we'll be just fine. I think that the 4-color list just makes a lot of sense to me. I've seen a lot of lists that are still just rug, and I'm sure I'll test those out at some point, but today I just wanted to try this, so that's what we're playing today. I actually brewed up this list the day of the recording, but I was testing for Eternal Weekend, and I didn't have time to record it before then. I've seen that the Living End Master Mignone actually came up with the same concept of playing Troll of Khazad-dûm, but their list was pretty different. So we're going to see how our list does today compared to their 12th place challenge list. All right, without any further ado, let's head on in to match number 1. I'll see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to the first match. We are on the play with 4-color Modern Living End. Our opponent reveals a Jegantha the Wellspring. Okay, so this hand, I mean, we're lacking the Cascade effect. I haven't played Living End in a while. I think that this hand might be a mulligan. Just we only have 1 draw to help find a Cascade effect. I'm going to ship it. And this is just significantly better. Okay, we'll keep. Get rid of the 2nd copy of Violent Outburst. We'll play the Boseiju, pass the turn. They play a Steam Vents. And a Channeler, sure. On the end step, I'm going to cycle the Street Wraith. If I draw into another land, I wanted to know which land I should cycle for off of the Generous End. However, I did not find a land. I want to grab a red source here for Violent Outburst, I think. So let's grab the Stomping Ground. We need to find another land. And I cannot cycle the Curator. That's a punish. I mean, I could have gotten the Breeding Pool and accepted that Shardless Agent was going to be my Cascade effect. So maybe that's my own fault. You might be wondering why I didn't Subtlety the Channeler on the first turn. I just don't know if that's exactly what the matchup is about. I mean, I could Subtlety the Swift Spear. So they're just on Is It Prowess. Alright, we'll Subtlety here. Counter the Swift Spear. And by counter, I mean they'll put it on the top or the bottom of their deck, whichever they so choose. And they put it on the top. And now they'll preordain. So are you going to keep it on top or are you going to surveil it away? They surveil it away for the Delirium trigger. More like Delirium count. I guess Delirium isn't really a trigger. With the surveil trigger, they're going to make their Delirium better. How is that? They put 2 cards on top. Okay. Land. Another Street Wraith will go to 15 and cycle. Ooh. Alright. So I'm really being punished by my decision not to grab a blue land with the Generous End. They're going to Lightning Bolt me, so I will fall to 12 life. And now they have Delirium, so this is going to knock me down to 9 life. They still have 5 cards in hand, too. This deck tends to play things like Mutagenic Growth, so they can kill you pretty easily if you're low on life. Sacred Foundry. I wasn't exactly expecting that one. We find another Generous End. I don't know if I'm going to live long enough, though. We'll grab a Breeding Pool, play it, pass the turn. So I could have shocked going down to 7 just to cycle the Curator of Mysteries, but I think my life total matters a lot here. So if I can, I want to keep my life total up just a little bit higher. They're fetching Sprite Dragon. Okay. They have 3 cards in their hand. Swift Spear, that's 5 damage. If they cast a bolt here, I'm dead. Or I guess Mutagenic Growth would kill me too. There's plenty of things that would. I'm at 5. They have nothing. I am at 4. They have 2 cards in hand. Okay. I guess I just Shardless Agent? Like, I could wait until their turn to Violent Outburst, but I don't see why I would do that. So let's just Agent. If they have Spell Pierce, I'm dead. Force of Negation, they could hardcast on their turn, so I don't really see the point in waiting. Okay, so it appears that it's resolved. I could put the agent back on top. I don't want to, though. I guess the upside would be that they couldn't attack with the Channeler on their turn if I had waited. But I thought that if I passed, they might cantrip or have counterspell or something using double blue. Unholy Heat. They go after the Street Wraith. That's weird. They could have hit the Subtlety and then the Channeler gets in. That was an odd decision. They kept their card on top. Oh, I guess my Generous Ends have reach. What am I thinking? Ignore me. I've never played Magic before. Underworld Breach. And they have double Lightning Bolt. I guess I could cycle into a Force of Negation off of the Street Wraith. Let's try that. That was not a Force of Negation. Okay, we can go to the next one. Okay. So, missing my land drop for consecutive turns was not ideal. I like Endurance in this matchup, so let's bring those in. It's good against Breach. It can block their flying creatures. I think it offers a lot. I don't think Subtlety is that good, so we can board those out. And I don't know if this is really a Force of Negation matchup. Like, it counters pump spells, or if they have something like a Spell Pierce, but usually they're just like a full-on aggro deck. So I'd rather bring in Force of Negation, Force of Vigor in case they have Graveyard Hate. Theoretically, I could bring in Leyline of Sanctity as well, but I don't know if I love that. So we'll try this out. You might be saying, but Bryant, they could have Flusterstorm or Spell Pierce. You can usually beat some of that stuff, but also you're still a Grief deck, and we're playing more black cards in this list to make sure that our key spells resolve. Okay. I also think that maybe I misplayed by not getting the Breeding Pool. This hand is delightful. We will keep. Play the Misty, pass the turn. And we can play around Blood Moon this game, so our opponent could be a Blood Moon deck. I'm not saying that they definitely are, but if they are, we can afford to play around it here. Turn 1, they fetch for a Steam Vents, Monastery Swift Spear. Ouch. So I will take 1, and then we will search out our basic island. Despite being a full 4-color list, there's still 2 basics. I actually don't remember if Mignonne's list had 2 basics. I suppose I could check. Like I said, I kind of built this on my own. I wasn't exactly looking at... I wasn't looking at Mignonne's list at all, actually. So, one moment. I guess I can play while I look it up. We'll play the Forest, and I'll just pass. Mignonne's list does have 2 basics. Mignonne is on 14 lands. I actually added a land up to 15 from my previous list, just because I felt like with 4 colors, you might want an extra land in your deck. That didn't work out for me in game number 1, but it was something I was considering. Bright Dragon, sure thing. Chalice of the Void on 0. We do have the Beseiju. Sure. The Chalice will happen. And we'll take 4 damage. Unigenic Growth. Okay, so that's a lot of damage. They still have 3 cards in their hand. I'm at 10 now. On the end step, we will destroy the Chalice. You want to wait till the end step here because the Beseiju is going to give them a land, and you didn't want them using that land to pump their creatures any further. And they play the land untapped. We'll Steam Vents. I'm at 8 life now. We'll pass. I don't think I'm going to have the luxury here of waiting to Violent Outburst. They play an Expressive Iteration. I'm going to cycle Street Wraith, because I think I'm going to Violent Outburst here. See if we can have Living End resolve. I'm at 6. How about that? Okay. On our turn, we can attack for 8, which is not quite lethal. They find a Mishra's Bauble, and they play a Channeler. Bauble. So now a Lightning Bolt would kill me if I don't find something on my turn. They surveil away another Channeler. We'll draw. Oh, that's lethal. I guess we'll go straight to combat. Hiya! They're pausing here. And they do decide to block. How about that? No? Okay. So maybe they just have me dead. I don't know if there's anything I can cycle into that would help here. I guess I could cycle into like Grief Black card. Let's cycle another Riverwinder. And then we can cycle the Generous Ent. And we'll just go grab a tap land. I don't think they've actually seen my Black Splash yet. I'm going to choose to not show them. They're at 7 life. They'll draw off Bauble. They cast a Preordain. They put 2 cards on the bottom. They play Soulscar Mage. They're at 7 life. I'm at 6. Architects. Let's go to combat. They have to block at least one of these creatures. They're going to Lava Dart me. So I will go to 5. And then they're going to Lava Dart me again, so I go to 4. They have 3 cards in hand here. Their graveyard has 2 Channelers, a Swiftspear, and a Sprite Dragon. So I don't know if I actually want to Living End. Something I could do here is Violent Outburst. So then my opponent would have to burn a Mutagenic Growth if they have one. And then they would die to the Striped Riverwinder. So I think Violent Outburst here, just for the pump, is ideal. Because now they go to 1. Their creature will die. They can't protect it. We'll cycle a Curator of Mysteries. Force of Vigor is probably not super helpful here. They're at 1 life. I go to 1. You have another Lava Dart? And then they concede. Okay, so we'll head to game number 3. So something we could do is, instead of having Endurance in our deck to trip up their creatures, we could have Leylines, and then Leyline protects me from all their burn spells. I'm up for trying this. Slows the game down when we're on the draw, which I think is pretty important. Wow, what a hand. This is actually very good for us. Keep. Leyline. I mean, Endurance also would have been very good in this hand. Turn 1 Steam Vents. Channeler. They have a Mishra's Bauble. And they surveil away a Soulscar Mage. Now they're drawing off the Bauble. Creator of Mysteries was a good draw. We basically just needed to draw creatures here, and drawing 1 was what we wanted to do. So, +1 us. Sacred Foundry, they're already at 14 life. They cast a Preordain. We haven't even seen what the white is for yet. They put 2 cards on top. Monastery Swiftspear. Now they're attacking for 4. Mutagenic Growth. Yep, can't do anything about that. Sure. So this is 7 damage coming in. Another Mutagenic Growth. This is not good for me. Okay, so that's 10 damage. I'll go to 10. They have 2 cards left in their hand. We'll cycle the Curator. We find a Troll and another Shardless Agent. Let's cycle the Generous Ent. And I'll grab a Stomping Ground. Play the Forest. And we'll pass the turn. I think I want to cycle the Troll, which is why I decided to not play the Stomping Ground here. With having the Leyline in play, I don't have to worry about the reach as much. I said as much, but who knows if that's true. My concern is if they put me to exactly 2 life on this turn, and that's a possibility. So they're at 5 damage right now. They find a Lava Dart. That would kill me if they have a land. Chalice of the Void on 0. So that's 7 damage. We can work with 7. Oh, that's 6. Okay, I just can't count. Counting is so overrated. On their end step, we'll cycle the Troll of Khazad-dûm. We'll grab a Watery Grave. We'll Force of Vigor the Chalice of the Void. Another Shardless Agent. So I'm going to go to 2 life here. We'll play the Shardless Agent. Cast Living End. We have one more Living End in our deck. The Generous End brings us a food token, which we desperately need here. They have land number 3. Granith Magistrate. That no longer matters. Okay. And then they concede. Yes! 1-0! That was a sweet match. I love it. All right. 4 more matches left to go. Hopefully they're just as exciting as this one. I'll see you in match number 2. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. We're on the draw in match number 2, and we've opened up a stellar hand. We're going to keep this. I remember our opponent from when I first got onto Magic Online. I actually played in a PTQ the first weekend, not knowing what I was facing, or what I was really doing, I should say. It was just like a Saturday Modern event. I had no clue what I signed up for. It turns out it was a PTQ, and our opponent knocked me out in the first round of top 8 on Grixis Death Shadow. Well, today it looks like they're playing Amulet Titan. Let's play the Boseiju. I mean, I have Subtlety. I don't even know if I want to cycle this or play this Grief. I mean, I probably do. All right, let's Grief. We'll take the Explorer. You don't want to put the Titan to the graveyard because then it comes back off of Living End. Fun fact. They play the Simic Growth Chamber, and they return Boseiju to their hand. So they have double Boseiju, Titan, and 1 unknown. On their end step, we will cycle the Generous End. Let's pick up a Stomping Ground. We need red mana to function. Play the Misty, and we'll pass. I'm keeping the Otawara in hand in case we end up needing to bounce a Titan at some point. On the end step, I'll fetch, grab a Watery Grave. Let's cycle the Curator of Mysteries. We find another Shardless agent. Play the Stomping Ground. I go to 15. And we'll play the agent. If for some reason our opponent had a main deck Endurance, we actually have that covered here using the Subtlety. And our opponent concedes. +1. Alright, so Titan, we probably want the other 2 Subtleties. I have not looked at a Titan list in a hot second. I know that they have a bunch of 1-rings in their deck these days, but let's see what else they have. Defense Grid, Dismember, Endurance. Like, we don't care about Force of Vigor. Spelunking, that's a cute one. Like, I could bring in Force of Vigors. Like, what does Force of Negation really do? I mean, I guess it counters 1-ring, but Force of Vigor hits Saga and Amulets. I'm going to try no Force of Negation, and we'll bring in a couple copies of Force of Vigor. I mean, I could also try Leylines to stop their Endurances. Is that really what I want to be doing, though? Like, Leyline is not good in the rest of the matchup. I'm going to try this out. I can always pivot to Leyline if I lose game number 2. Yeah, this hand seems delightful. We are lacking a Cascade spell, but the rest of this hand is quite good. Turn 1 Forest and Amulet of Vigor. You've got it. Let's start off by evoking Grief, exiling one of our 3 copies of Living End. Alright, so it's important here to stack the discard trigger before the evoke trigger in case they have like an Endurance that they want to use. So we can leave them on Titan and nothing else. I think that's probably the move. And then we'll play the Breeding Pool. Pass. They play a Gardens. On their end step, we will cycle the Troll, grab a Watery Grave, another Curator, and I'm going to cycle on my main phase here in case I draw into another Grief, because they could copy and draw a Karoo land or whatever you'd like to call them, Simic Growth Chamber type effects, and then they could kill me on their turn. So I'm going to look to see what I can find off my cycles. The land, and then we'll cycle the Curator of Mysteries. Subtlety, perfect. We can pass now. They copy the Amulet, sure. Another Mycosynth Gardens. We need a Cascade spell now. Ding! Ask and you shall receive. We'll just pass the turn. They did not copy. That's interesting. On their end step, we'll fetch. Grab a stomping ground. So you're supposed to like hold priority on the so like I guess what you're supposed to do here is hold priority on the Street Wraith and then Violent Outburst. So that way you don't draw one of your living ends. I've had this go wrong a number of times where like you're supposed to cast this, hold priority, and then cycle. I'm not exactly sure how the priority thing works, but I've had a draw. Like, I draw beforehand. Like, the idea is that you want to limit the amount of living ends you could possibly draw. I can never seem to make it work how I want it to. So I think I maybe don't understand the priority aspects, but we won the match anyway. Whew, look at us. All right, we are now 2-0, 3 matches left. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. The third match, we're on the draw, and we've opened up quite the hand. I'm definitely going to keep this. I just love that Troll of Khazad-dûm is this giant, dumb, extraordinary beater. Big fan. Our opponent has a turn 1 Bloodstained Mire for a Blood Crypt. They could be on Rakdos Scam here. Hopeless Nightmare. As it enters, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. Okay, well, I do want my cards in the graveyard, so we'll discard an extra troll here. And now we'll go to our turn. Another Generous End. Let's Grief, exiling the Architects of Will. So they're Mono Black Burn or Rakdos Burn. So Roiling Vortex is a guaranteed 5 damage when I play a Living End. That said, I think it's just the Roiling Vortex. And then we'll pass the turn. Hoping that they missed their land drop here. Another Hopeless Nightmare. Discard another Generous End. On their end step, we're going to Lightning Bolt ourselves, going to 13 life. We'll grab a Steam Vents. And then I'm going to cycle the Generous End. We'll grab the basic Forest. Cycle the Troll. Grab... I don't know if it really matters. Let's grab Watery Grave. We'll play the Watery Grave. Pass the turn. Our graveyard is stock full of thick creatures. They bump me. I'm at 10. Force of Negation. Wonderful. I know that I could play Violent Outburst as an instant. I'm going to choose to be lazy here. I'm going to main phase it. And we win. Sweet. So we're facing Black Burn. Let's bring in our ley lines. I don't think Subtlety is amazing here, so we'll board those out. We likely want a couple copies of Force of Vigor. I don't know if we want all 3. And if we're facing the burn deck, should I be boarding out Street Wraith? Just like, we don't have to worry about not having enough black cards anymore, because even with boarding out Street Wraith, I have 15 black cards. I think I like this. Let's try it out. Sure. Our opponent has taken a mulligan. And a mulligan to 5. So they might just be hunting here for Leyline of the Void. No Leyline. Okay. Basic Swamp. Whenever you lose life for the first time each turn, you gain an energy. Pay 2 energy. Each opponent loses 3 life. Okay. We'll play our Overgrown Tomb, paying life, pass the turn. We want to cycle on their end step to go grab some sort of land. So they're fetching, they'll gain an energy. They bump me, I go to 15. On their end step, we'll cycle the Generous End. Grab a Breeding Pool. I'm going to play the Breeding Pool untapped. I think I can race them killing me. So that is what I'm doing here. I'm kind of disrespecting our opponent a little bit, but I think that we can win before they can kill me. They bolt me, I go to 10. They have 1 card, they're drawing up to 2. Blackleaf Cliffs. If this was a fetch land, their enchantment would be active, but instead it's a Blackleaf Cliffs. On the end step, we'll cycle a Troll. Go grab a Blood Crypt. And then I'm going to cycle Striped Riverwinder. I could cycle another Troll, but it doesn't increase our clock at all. And if I draw something good off the Riverwinder, like a Force of Negation, I'm happy with that. I'm going to choose to not play a land that deals me damage here, and we're just going to play the Shardless Agent. Our opponent has a Rakdos Charm, and they're going to exile my graveyard. That's spicy. So they have no hand now. I will not cast a Living End. Thank you. So they could have waited and dealt me 4 damage with the Rakdos Charm. They have no hand. I'll play a Blood Crypt. And now we'll attack. They'll take 2 going down to 17. Yeah, if these Blackleaf Cliffs were fetch lands, this would just be significantly more scary. Because this card would have text on it. I mean, I just gave them text. Maybe I wasn't supposed to attack for 2. Because now they can use the Ganti against me. Putting me to 5. So their 1 card in hand would have to deal 5. It's a fetch land. So I guess it sort of matters, I guess. Not really, though. So we'll cycle the Curator. Okay, I was actually supposed to play Misty, I suppose. Because I can only cycle 1 of these blue creatures. That was a slight misplay on my part. We draw another land. We'll cycle the Troll. Yeah, I mean, I could have played this better, but here we are. Cycle Architects. We find a Grief. Doesn't really help me here. Play another Steam Vents. Cycle the Curator. And I suppose I should Living End while they're tapped out. And I'm not going to attack them again. Our opponent has 3 energy. If I attack here, they'll be able to deal me 6 using their enchantment. So instead, I'm just going to Violent Outburst. We'll play the Living End. And now I can target them and make sure that they draw a card that doesn't matter here. They have double Lava Spike. When this thing enters the battlefield, target opponent gains control of it. At the beginning of your upkeep, sleeper damage deals 2 damage to you. Okay. So we'll put the agent on the bottom, I guess. I don't think it really matters. I mean, I have Force of Negation. This should just be over. We have enough to deal them lethal on the following turn. They'll play the Lava Spike. I will cast Force of Negation, exiling the Architects of Will. They use the enchantment, so I'll go to 5. You have to sacrifice the enchantment? I might have missed that. You do, okay. So I was thinking that they could build up to 4 and then use it twice. I was wrong. That is not how that card works. Alright, we'll play a Watery Grave and attack for lethal. I was way more afraid of this card than I needed to be. Am I wrong? Hold up. Oh, this gains 3 life. No? No, it does. Okay, yeah. I was like, I had done the math, I should say, correct English. Last turn, I'm like, oh, I just have lethal on board. Maybe I should have read this whole card instead of just like assuming I knew what it did. Crazy how words on the cards explain what they do. I'm at 2. Our opponent says keep storming. I appreciate that. I hope they keep storming as well. We're now 3-0 with 2 matches left to go. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Alright, we are on the play for the 4th match. Sure. I feel like most opening hands with this deck are just so good. My last video was Cycle Storm, and I went 5-0 in that video, hoping to repeat today. My first 2 leagues back from Eternal Weekend being 5-0s would be delightful. So you might be watching this, and you might not be a member, which is absolutely fine. I just appreciate people watching the content. But so this video would come out a couple weeks after Eternal Weekend. I had recorded such a huge buffer trying to make sure I had videos to publish while I was at Eternal Weekend that I uploaded a couple videos after the bannings that had, you know, ban cards in them in both Pioneer and Modern. So thanks for bearing with me. This is my 2nd league back from Eternal Weekend, and I hope that it goes well. So let's see if we can get another trophy here. Blood Crypt. This might actually be Rakdos. Scam, that is. Thoughtseize. Well, my hand is all creatures. Pick your favorite. It's probably the Street Wraith, but let's see. They picked the Troll. Interesting. A little surprised by that. Let's cycle a Striped Riverwinder. We find a Subtlety. That's great for Dothy Voidwalker. We'll draw for turn. It's a Grief. Let's cycle the Striped Riverwinder. Looking for a cascade spell at this point. I guess we also need another land. Cycle the Street Wraith. I don't think I'm going to grief here. Maybe if I draw a black card I don't want. And I'm actually just going to cycle this Architect because I need to find a third land and I need the cascade spell. Cycle again. All blue cyclers. A little bit awkward. Our opponent plays a grief exiling Fatal Push. I think that this would be a wonderful card to Subtlety. You may not scam me. Sorry. So the grief goes on the bottom of their deck. Now they'll play a Ragavan. We'll draw for turn. We found our cascade spell, but now I need the third land. We'll cycle the Curator. Cycle the Street Wraith going down to 12 life. We found the land. Alright, this might be a little bit greedy. I'm going to play untapped and cycle. This way if I draw a black card I can grief them. And we drew another land. We'll pass. So the Ragavan attack will put me to 8 and they'll gain their second mana. So now they have 3 mana. And we have a fully stocked graveyard here. Ragavan connects. I will go to 8 life. And they hit a Street Wraith. I would have preferred drawing that Street Wraith over the basic island last turn, but oh well. Blood Moon! What? Oh! That just won them the game. Ah, oh, wow. I guess I could draw into a Generous Ent, cycle the Ent into Shardless Agent. That's our out. Wow. Holy moly. I think I have to take the Shield Dread. Wow, that Blood Moon was devastating. We have 4 Generous Ents and then 1 basic forest. Those are, so we have 5 outs and we'll have 41 cards after their combat step. Oh no. I think taking Shield Dread was actually bad. And they hit a Generous Ent. Why are you like this? Why? Oh, come on, Ragavan. So taking the Shield Dread actually put me dead. Because even if I draw it, I think I lose to the Shield Dread now. Oh, I guess I'd have to draw it this turn. I couldn't pass the turn and then draw it, which is my point. I can't believe they hit the Generous Ent too. Unfortunate. This doesn't work with a Blood Moon in play. I am dead on board. Wow. Okay, maybe I misplayed there. That hurt. That hurt a lot. Okay, so we'll bring in the ley lines. I want the subtleties. I want Dismember, and I want Force of Vigor. A lot of cards coming in. I think you're allowed to board out Force and Negation, even though we just got Blood Mooned. And now we're at 66. I don't think Grief is particularly good in this matchup, so those can get sided out. And now we're at 62. Probably just a couple copies of Street Wraith. Let's try this. Admittedly, I was not thinking about Blood Moon in game number 1. So I guess if I had been concerned about it, I should have griefed earlier, but it just wasn't on my mind. There was a couple interesting decision trees that game. Like I could have decided not to cycle the Architects of Will, looking for the third land. I mean, I would have drawn it, but I didn't know that. So I don't know. Like I think I played reasonably okay, but there might have been a couple optimizations that I could have done better. On the play. Sure. Our opponent's taking a mulligan to 6. And we're ready to battle. So I will play turn 1 Steam Vents and then pass. Chalice of the Void on 0. I boarded out my Force of Negation, so we'd be looking to draw into a Force of Vigor here. Blood Crypt untapped. Usually you would want to Thoughtseize first to see if I have the Force of Vigor, but it doesn't matter. We'll let this happen. They take the Outburst anyway, even with the Chalice in play. We will cycle the Striped Riverwinder. We find a Troll. There's the Force of Vigor. Let's play our land. Pass the turn. So now I just need to find a cascade spell. And I guess like we have the guaranteed third land 2 different ways here. But I'm going to exile the Generous Ent to destroy the Chalice. I guess they have Bowmasters here. We'll cycle the Troll. Grab Overgrown Tomb. I'm just not going to play into their Bowmasters. We can wait. I don't even... Okay, I was going to say I don't even have the Violent Outburst yet, but turns out I did. So we'll play our land untapped. Pass the turn. And there's the Bowmasters. I'll cycle the Street Wraith. You can amass your Orcs. I'm now at 11 life. They're going to dash a Ragavan. Thank you. They're beginning of combat. Let's destroy the chalice, exiling the generous ent, and then show them what's up as we do. Violent Outburst. Living End. Magic Online is now holding priority on everything. This is a weird program, but hey, I will take being up a game. Well, I guess evening out the match for some extra clicks. On our turn, we can actually hardcast the Architects of Will as well. Let's do that. I mentioned hardcasting Grief. I was not thinking about hardcasting Architects of Will. Target our opponent. But Bowmaster's on the bottom. They can have a Grief. Go to combat. We'll swing. We'll take 14 and then go down to 2. All right, we're off to game number 3. I think I'm still fine with this configuration. This hand is very good. We will keep. Our opponent opens up on Leyline of the Void. We play a Blackleaf Cliffs and a Ragavan. I could Force of Vigor right now. I'm going to wait to see if they play a Chalice. The Violent Outburst was a very good draw for us. They have a Blood Crypt. They attack. Ragavan triggers. I'm at 16. They find a Generous Ent. I guess, okay, I made a mistake. At their end of combat, I should have played Force of Vigor. I didn't have a stop there, but that's the timing that I should have played the Force of Vigor, was at their end of combat. And then in response to this Dothy, let's cycle the Troll. Grab an Overgrown Tomb. We find ourselves another Troll of Khazad-dûm. We will pass. So they're attacking for 5. I'm going to fall to 11 life here. And then they get a treasure. It's Street Wraith. Another Dothy. Okay. So I'm not exactly sure how this works. If I wait till their turn to Violent Outburst, if they would be able to Living End. So I think I'm going to do it on my main phase just because I'm a coward and I don't know how the rules work. So let's Violent Outburst right now just to wipe their board. They're going to bolt their own Dothy. We'll Living End. Okay. So we have to find a Dismember to answer this Dothy Voidwalker. We have 2 Dismembers in our deck. I don't know if I can raise the Dothy. What are you doing? Oh, they Living End. I guess that still worked. Okay, they just schooled me. So I would need to find another Cascade spell now. Leyline. Yeah, I think they just have me now. We'll cycle the Troll. Yeah, the Bolt play was good. I wonder if I had known the rules interaction. No, because they would have had 2 untapped Dothys, so that wouldn't have worked anyway. They needed, like, I think my play actually ended up being fine. We're going to use the Dothy here. Probably getting the Troll. And then they play the Troll. Yep. I mean, this doesn't really matter because they would have... I guess I'm just dead no matter what here. So I'll take 5. I'm not going to be able to come back. And then they hit the Dismember. Yep. Light up the stage. That's spicy. And a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. I don't think I have any possible way of winning this, but it doesn't hurt to take a few draws. Cycle some Curators. Force of Vigor doesn't do me any good. So I can Shardless Agent again, but the problem is that they have a Dothy in the graveyard. So they'll be able to Living End again. Pretty sure that's how that works. So we'll play the Shardless Agent. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm just stuck in a loop where I can never Living End because they have double Dothy in 2 different zones. Cycle the Curator. And now they're Fable triggers. They actually had a Hitseku Consumes All as well, so our opponent had a lot of interaction for us. Hardcast Leyline of the Void, that's fine. They used the Dothy. Did they mess up? Oh, no, it took a split second. Okay. Yeah, I have no outs. The Striped Riverwinder is not going to do it, so unfortunately, no trophy today. I think maybe I let game 1 slip through my fingers. We're just going to keep our head up and try to win match number 5. Hopefully you enjoy that round as well. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/decklist. The final round, we're on the draw, and I'm going to keep Inspiring Vantage. Esper Sentinel. Okay, is this red hammer? It is in fact hammer time with a red splash. Okay. We'll play an untapped island and pass. Maybe your opponent respects Spell Pierce or something. They attack for 1, sure. Inkmoth Nexus. And he's Stoneforge Mystic. Not looking good for the home team. They find a Colossus Hammer. We will cycle a Striped Riverwinder for Grief. That was actually a good draw. Well, untap. Let's play the Grief, exiling the Troll of Khazad-dûm, which does not trigger Esper Sentinel. They have double hammer and a Cauldron. I guess I play towards not dying the double hammer, because I don't think the Cauldron matters. Play a Stomping Ground. We'll pass the turn. We activate the Stoneforge, putting the Cauldron onto the battlefield. They'll now attack for 6, which is fine. I go to 11. I guess I should wait. They play a Saga and a Hammer. Yep. We'll cycle the Generous Ent. Grab the basics so that way I lose less life. Cycle the Curator of Mysteries. Be lazy and cycle Street Wraith now. Okay. In our opponent's draw step, we will play Violent Outburst. This will trigger the Esper Sentinel. And then we'll Living End. So now we grief them. Our opponent's going to Galvanic Blast on Grief. That's fine. They have a Sacred Foundry. We'll create a food token. They'll draw a card off of the Esper Sentinel. I cannot pay for that. And then Violent Outburst will resolve. All of our creatures will get +1/+0 until end of turn. So this is a spot where playing the Black Splash is really helpful, because I can control the top of their library to make sure that we don't get burned. So I'll go to 5. We'll cast an Architects. You can have another Esper Sentinel. Actually, would it be better to give them another Inkmoth? I think it would. And now we can go to combat. Do I want to leave one creature back for a... I mean, I already have an Architects back. Let's just get in there. So this is 17. They would go to 1. They'll create a construct. And now they're going to draw an Inkmoth Nexus. Their Urza Saga will trigger going up to the 3rd chapter. They can create another construct and then search their library for an artifact with mana 0 or 1. And I don't think there's anything here that kills me, but I've been wrong before in my life. Shadow Spear. So they can equip the Shadow Spear. And that buys them a little bit of time. And I'm forced to block. So we'll block with the Architects. They'll go up to 7, and I'll go to 3. And then I'm pretty sure they're dead on the crackback. Go to combat and attack out. So they can block a creature with the power of 5, but then they take more than lethal. We're off to game number 2. Something a lot of Living End players that are better than me do in this matchup is they board out all of their Force and Negations, because that's not really what the matchup is about. Grief hits Drannith Magistrate, so I like leaving in Grief. We'll bring in Dismember. That's definitely a card I'm interested in here. I like Subtlety, and I like Force of Vigor. So those are all cards that I think are decent in the matchup. But that brings me up to 63, so we do have to find some stuff to board out. Okay. Maybe it is supposed to be Grief? I don't know. I feel like Grief is pretty good, though. I'm going to board down on Striped Riverwinder. I actually feel like that card's not amazing in this matchup. Yeah, let's do another Riverwinder. Let's try this. I'm sure there's some Living End people watching this being like, Bryant's so bad you never board out this card. I don't think that the matchup is about a 5/5 beater. I really don't. We have other large creatures in our deck. Troll of Khazad-dûm exiles the Grief. Like, it just has better rolls. This is fine. I mean, I don't love having the Living End in my hand, but the rest of the hand is pretty good. I've always been a 4 Living End stan, and with going to this list, I did cut down to 3. Ragavan's interesting. I'm okay with Ragavan. We draw a basic, play out the Misty. I'm going to cycle the Street Wraith now in case I draw into Grief, and then I can exile the Living End. I did not, but I did draw a blue card for Subtlety, which I think is just fine. So they'll attack. I'm going to fetch my land now. I don't want them to hit my Steam Vents. So that is what I'm thinking about at the moment. Oh no! Oh, I did it. I punted. I was thinking about Seedments, and then I realized, no, I should get Island and cycle for the Stomping Ground. And then I started talking, and I just didn't make the play. Yeah, you can't bring me anywhere. We'll cycle the End. Because if they happen to have a Blood Moon, this ends up being a little bit awkward. And I could afford to play around Blood Moon naturally. We'll grab Overgrown Tomb, I guess. Yeah, I just punted. They hit Watery Grave. Esper Sentinel, that's fine. They play an Urza's Saga. And another Esper Sentinel. Curator of Mysteries. Let's cycle that. Another Force of Vigor. Okay. Let's play the Forest. Because this way I could at least pay for the tax on one of the Esper Sentinels. Urza's Saga goes up to the 2nd chapter. They attack for 4. I'm at 9. Ragavan triggers. They had a Grief. They have land number 3. On the end step, I'll target Saga and the treasure token, exiling the other Force of Vigor. I'll pay for the first Esper Sentinel. Okay, and now they create a construct. We find another Subtlety. I'm going to pay 2 life. I'm going to play around Mana Tithe just a little bit, and I'm going to choose to play the Shardless agent here, because even if they happen to have Mana Tithe, I get a chump blocker for a turn. So they'll get to draw 2 here off Esper Sentinels. I cannot pay. And by playing the Shardless agent on my turn, it gets around something like Hallowed Moonlight. Land number 3, they have 6 cards in their hand still. Another Ragavan I don't care about. Stoneforge, let's Subtlety that. And then we'll Subtlety the Stoneforge. They're at 20. We do not have lethal on board. Swing out. So we should count how much power we do have. So 6 plus 5 is 11. 14 plus 4 is 18. So it's not really worth playing a Living End here. They're at 6. We'll pass the turn. They go to combat. We'll take it. So that's going to be 2 damage down to 5. They do get a Ragavan trigger, so they'll create a treasure plus exile the top card of my deck, which is a Dismember. How about that? That's a relevant card. Another Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. I mean, they probably put the Stoneforge on top. They did, looking at the log. So I shouldn't be surprised by this. They pick up a Shadow Spear. They play a land. They're fetching down to 5. Pure Steel Paladin. Okay. Are you going to go to 1? They are not going to play the Dismember. So they're dead on board. No matter what they do, they take lethal. I guess I'll cycle the Generous Ent. And then we go grab a land. We'll grab Breeding Pool. I'll sacrifice my food token to gain 3 life. Go up to 8. Go to combat. So we'll swing. They can block Generous Ent and Street Wraith, and then they still take 6. Sweet. So we went 4-1. That's not bad. Our one loss was the Rakdos scam, where maybe I could have played a little bit better in game number 1. I'm going to go back and review that to see if there's any areas for improvements there. And then a game 3 where, honestly, I felt like we were in decent shape for part of that game, and then the game kind of got away from us. So that happened sometimes. Double Dothy was certainly a difficult thing to happen. Like, they had Leyline, Double Dothy, a Timely Bolt. Like, we were never out of that game up until the lock happened. So I liked the deck list. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep storming. What you should do is like, comment, and subscribe, because there's no better way to support us. And if you enjoyed this video, head over to moxfield.com and follow us there. It's truly the best deck website on the internet. We update all of our decks there regularly with the latest and greatest technology, so you're always up to date. Once again, go check out Moxfield, and thank you for watching.